Welcome back to Lessons in Property with me, Steve Hand. This week it's episode 39 and I'm joined? This week I'm joined with Jordan Turner and we dive into his fascinating journey in the construction and property industry. We explored how a construction background can be a game changer in property development, his unique approaches to property acquisition and management, and why understanding a commercial valuation is a must. We also discussed the potential for ground-up development in finance and the crucial role of education, leverage, and building a strong team. Plus, we shared thoughts on balancing success with good health and mental well-being. This is an episode full of insights you'll want to hear. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Hi, good, thank you. So yeah, we've known each other for a few years now, haven't we? Part of the same network, property network, Paul McFadden Wealth. I guess for listeners that don't know you or might not have followed any of your stuff on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, that your strength comes really from the construction side. You've already done loads of refurbs, essays, which is serviced accommodation.
I'm a joiner to trade. That was my background. Been on every kind of aspect within construction, from 20 million development sites, all the way through to your finishings and refurbs and everything else for other properties. Because I was always active in that sense, I knew people that were in property, always been interested, but it's like everything else, you don't know what you don't know. Going back to obviously networking and property courses, that was the kind of first step. Big eye opener, things that you would never even think that it's possible, really.
So when you've worked, is it as an employee for a large corporate or contractor?
So it was a bigger company, but I was also doing a lot of my own work as well on the side.
Yeah.
So I was always building that clientele up.
Yeah.
Because I always had it that, I was going to approach with my own business. It's always been a mix, full-time employment and at the same time doing my own things.
And when you say like the £20 million sites, are they like a commercial project or is it like a large residential block of flats or?
Yep, so that was a school.
School, okay.
Yep, as I said, started from basically, concrete and steel in. That was me on site, there from the start all the way to the finish.
Yeah, and this is what I find quite a lot, that people have got in different trades, they've worked for others in some capacity on quite large scale projects, a few million up to tens of millions like yourself. Along the way, they've been doing their own like single unit, typical sort of terraced house, flat conversions or refurbs. So you've got a good blend of experience from something that you can turn over in a month or two if it's a light refurbishment to a project that probably lasts for, 2 years or even longer.
Like you says, if you can do the bigger stuff, as I said, I've done every aspect. The emergency side as well, went from the bigger commercial all the way through to, emergencies, residential properties, a lot of different types of work in between with the rot and things, so you're stripping everything right back to brick anyway.
And I guess investors that are watching this that are thinking, well, I've got some funds there that sat there in the bank doing nothing, earning next to nothing in the interest rate. I want to put my money to work in property in some capacity. Why would they choose somebody that's been in construction over somebody that's not been in construction? If you can give them some comfort in why they would put, whether it's you or somebody else, why would they put the money towards somebody that's got a construction background?
I would say a big part of any type of property deal is the refurb side. A lot of people that are just getting started out, they've not had that experience. It's totally fresh. So when it comes to cost, sequence of works, how to make sure the job's running on time, which are all key factors when, either doing it yourself, you've got obviously bridging loans and things, which is costing money. So make sure that everything's going to timescale, plan, even the work that's carried out is to a high standard as well.
You're jogging some thoughts there in my head about a case we've had through recently, and they've only had, it's somebody that's not come from the construction sector, come from a very different sector, and they've got one quote. Now, it's fine if you've got a trusted builder there that you've worked with for quite some time. I guess you could just go off their quote because you've you know, you've worked with them before, but this person hadn't done, and they've got one quote for a job that's going to cost about 120 odd thousand. It just appears to be expensive. You know, when you've been in the game long enough, you look at it and think, that's pricey, that. Why haven't you got another quote or three quotes even? And I guess as an investor, you're thinking to yourself, it's about mitigating risk as much as possible, isn't it? And if you come from a construction background, first of all, you're going to do your due diligence. You're going to make sure that the end values are the end values and the price that you're paying for it is a realistic figure, because you know how to cost a job out, but not only costing it for like labor and materials, you know, timescales. And like you said before, if you're on the clock with bridging finance, which a lot of people are, bridging and development finance, if they're doing a project, and it runs 50% longer than it needs to, that's really going to eat into your profits, isn't it?
Yep, certainly. So, you know, having the confidence of somebody that knows how to carry out a refurb within good time, but still keeping the standard of work
Yeah.
is vital, I would say.
Oh no, absolutely, because it's understanding the sequence of events, the order of events, isn't it? When you get on site for a project, whether you're doing a single unit flip or you're doing a larger scale conversion or a ground up, you've got a good understanding of the order of events, so you can map it out properly and properly project manage it throughout. Whereas somebody that doesn't have that background, they're relying on others that they may or may not have worked with before. There's increased cost, increased risk. And as an investor, when you're investing in a project, no matter what project it is, first and foremost, you want your capital back, and then you want as close. We all accept there's risk, you know, it's property development, but you want as close to that return that you've agreed at the outset as possible, don't you?
Like you says, mitigating risk, so reducing that as much as possible gives you the confidence not to do just the one project, to keep going and doing as many as possible. And like you says, with the sequence of works, that's vital, you know, because that isn't, you know, within fruition with each other, then, you know, it's not like the timescales are going to jump out and everything else. Work's not going to get done. People are going to be on site when they're not meant to be on site. So making sure that, you know, everything is planned and materials are coming in at the same time as well. You know, it's a bigger operation than what some people think.
Yeah, don't know for sure as well. And tradesmen aren't going to pull the wool over your eyes when they know that you've got your background, that they're just going to, there's a level of respect to begin with, isn't there? It's like, this is what I've done, this is what I've worked on. Right, okay, we can't cut corners with this guy. Not that they're going to, I mean, if you've worked with them before, you know who they are and what they're about, and you'll pick them by their attitude just as much as the workmanship, won't you? And I know you're all about like quality of finish, which is really important to those end values, because even on a less valued property, a lower valued property, you still want a good finish. There's people that buyers that are going to be, and my brother's like this, he'll come into the property and he's not looking at the beautiful design, or, you know, he's looking for faults. He's looking in the corners and all sorts, because that's the way some people are wired up, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think to myself as an OCD in construction, you know, because I'm always looking out for if there's any kind of negatives. But like I says, that's why we achieve so high a finish, you know, because they're always getting picked up on. It doesn't matter if it's a buy to let or a flip or whatever it is, which strategy you're going down, you know, always achieve that high finish because it does
Yeah.
make the difference.
It does, and not only does it fetch the right price, but it's saleability, isn't it? It gets it out the door quicker as
Yeah,
well.
and it's more attractable as well because it's giving you that security in a way that somebody's wanting the property. Even buy to let, making sure a tenant is always going to be in it, you know, that there's nothing putting off that, you know, nobody would want to stay in there. Obviously, I would say security with making sure that there's always a tenant, or, you know, with SA, there's always guests coming in and out, and then flips as well. That one I did, it was on the market 8 days, you
8 days, wow.
so when I get snapped up and way over home report and everything, but that's because of the level of finish.
And they say, I'm sure it's 10 to 12, the average number of viewers that's required to get a property sold. And if you've done a high level of workmanship on a property, that's going to be at the other end of the scale, isn't it? It won't be
Yep.
10 or 12 because that's average. It might be like 3 or 4 or even less. And
Yep.
that, again, it's about time, isn't it? Because rather than it taking a month or 2 months, whatever the average is for a property to get a buyer, you're going to compress that time, which, again, we're all on the clock with finance in some way, shape, or form, whether it's our own money, bridging finance, or investors' money. So it's important to reduce those timescales.
I mean, there's viewings every single day as soon as I went live, you know, so
Yeah.
it just tells you that traction was there.
When you made that first step to take out creative finance, because we deal with all sorts of people, and some people will do things quite traditionally where they might look for properties that are habitable and they'll take out a buy-to-let mortgage and they'll buy it to hold. They won't really do flips. They might do the odd flip, but again, they'll still use a mortgage to acquire it. Whereas you decided that you wanted to take out bridging finance, and we all know it's more costly, but it allows you to attack projects that you couldn't do with a mortgage. And it's another sort of, like we were talking about before, it's another tool in the toolbox, isn't it, that allows you to access something, add the value, and then take your profits afterwards.
Yeah, like I says, you're utilising that tool to get to the end goal, especially with bridging, it's flexibility as well as speed. So that's what I found with bridging. Says obviously there's a bit more cost. It means you can get the deal done within a shorter time scale.
Yeah.
And then you're not tied into, 6 month kind of standard mortgage. You can obviously refinance out the bridge.
Yeah. So the one that you bridged in, did you hold that one? Was that a retain or was it a flip?
That was serviced accommodation.
You bought that with the idea of mind of we're going to reconfigure this, we're going to modernize it, make it look as good as it can, and then we're going to rent it out like on a nightly rate basis.
Yeah. So what was good about this deal, it was one of the kind of unicorn deals, as we call it. So there was a few different kind of exit strategies I was thinking about, kind of long term, and obviously maximising that cash flow. So that's why. And obviously you need to, make sure it's the right fit with area and everything else, and just everything ticked the box.
And did you go for the contractor market or more the holiday market?
Yeah, contractor market. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that went live just at the end of last year, and then obviously it was coming into Christmas, so it's expected to be a bit quiet. January is known to be quiet as well compared to the rest of the year, but straight away, it was four days, then the week after 5 days, then we've got 2 days staggered. We've literally getting nearly, I would say, roughly half of January booked up.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. And of course, the one that we're looking at, I know the deal's not over the line yet, so we're probably going to have to limit the information that we say. But you're looking at something that's like the next level, aren't you? Because you've got plenty of experience with refurbs and like the SA you just mentioned, and of course working on larger projects like the school when you worked for somebody else in the corporate sector. But this one's kind of like it's in the middle. It's next step, really, isn't it, from a single unit?
Yeah, it's just. I think as well, it's just more than one property and
in
the same.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Yeah, so obviously this is a kind of hotel, but like we says, it's going from maybe just the one property or whatever to something larger. It's just multiplying for the refurb side. You're just getting in, you're doing the exact same, analysing everything. And then obviously to do with nightly rates and things, it's just kind of multiplying that as well. But then,
I guess what's a bit more challenging is the end values for something like that, because when you're doing a house, terraced or flat, whatever, there's heaps of them, isn't there, normally?
so much comparables,
you got loads of comparables.
So that is the kind of main struggle that yourself we've kind of had. There's nothing round about it to compare, so you need to think about, right, what was the kind of valuations done prior, or can we utilise any kind of contact to see if they can give more insight to what it's worth.
And I guess, of course, looking at the, if it's been a hotel, it'll have a set of books. All right, if the occupancy rate's not been what it could be, because some people don't run it at the optimum level, they might just run it half full, mightn't they? But it still gives you good flavour. And with giving it a sort of fresh lick of paint and modernisation, you're going to get that nightly rate up. And then you can make an educated guess, can't you? If it's 2/3 full, what does that look like in terms of annual revenue in? And then how does that look against the value that I'm predicting it to be? Like, what's the gross yield? And so you can kind of work backwards and say, well, if this is what I'm estimating the end value to be based on these factors here, what's my profit? What's my construction cost? What's my professional fees? What's my LBTT or stamp duty, professional fee, all that stuff? And then, right, is it a deal? Isn't it a deal? Okay, it's a deal, but at this price. And that's where, like, we like to get across to people. Okay, take into account what the vendor's asking. You have to, because that's what all partners want. But sometimes we've got to educate the vendor and say, actually, here's my workings as to why I feel it's worth this price.
So straight away, obviously, with it being commercial, then you're going off of the commercial valuation, which is totally different with the bricks and mortar for, a single property.
Yeah.
So that was kind of new to me. And I think as well for the vendor, even for them to get their head round, because how they had actually got the property was through family. So I didn't think they went through the full process before. I think it's really important to spend time with the vendor for them to open up more of how things have been kind of operating and running and get to know them themselves, So, I had spent about 3 hours, first time meeting them, spent 3 hours, great chat, great conversation, got to know them as people, but also to do with the property. Even when I was coming across saying about the commercial valuation and things, they kind of said that they were, it was kind of new to them. So it's important to everybody's on the same page, so
Yeah.
there's no kind of cross lines and thinking, well, where are they getting their number from?
I think people lose track of that sometimes. It's very much a human business, isn't it? A people to people business. It's not transactional. If you're dealing with intermediary, like an estate agent or whatever, and you never get to speak to the vendor, are you going to get the same results back? I don't know. I mean, sometimes yes, but sometimes you can't be actually knocking on the door or speaking to the vendor yourself, can you? And building
Yeah.
that relationship together.
So, because once you build that relationship, the trust is there as well.
Yeah.
And it means that, they don't think somebody's just coming out from the outside and chancing their arm. And, I was telling them what my plans are for this, quite happy, they're actually
Yeah.
want me to buy it in a way.
Yeah, yeah. Now, some people might think, oh, I'd be reluctant to do that because the vendor might want to do it for themselves. But I think you get a flavour of it, don't you, when you meet the vendor and you get talking to them. And especially, like in some cases, it might be somebody that's at the end of their working life, they're ready for retirement, that they've not got the energy to do it. And so they're really bought into your idea. And I think they like the fact that you're not somebody that's just looking at the bottom line, just looking at the profits. You want to do something for the area, you want to add value to it, you want to be creative. Of course, there's got to be profit in it, but that's not the sole factor that you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, with an example, obviously they've spent years, working hard within the business, and there's other interests, but they're wanting to completely kind of demolish and do other ideas, which,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be great as well, that would also like be an option in a way. The amount of work they've put in, I think they like that I'm still wanting to operate within that sector.
That's good. I like it. So outside of property, what does Jordan Turner like doing?
Well, I do work quite a lot, so trying to get time, exercise, I'd say,
Yeah. In
uh,
fact, you do make time, don't you, to whether it's go for a run or go to the gym or do something.
yeah, because as I say, it's health is wealth, and mentally as well, got to keep everything ticking over. So
Oh no, it's a big part of our community, isn't it? I think that like the leader at the top, Mr. McFadden, very much into his health and wealth, and it's not just about the money, of course. It's about making sure this is good up here. If that's not good, it doesn't matter how much money you've got. It's you have to put your health at the top of the top of the list, and it's very easy when things are going mental to just focus on work, 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 and shelve that. But
yeah.
you pay for it, down the line. So very important to, even if we can only do like 1 or 2 sessions a week, it's much better than doing none, isn't it?
I mean, I think back years ago, I'd be absolutely hammering the gym for, I could be there easily a couple of hours. But see now, see if I just do even half an hour, still getting out. It's like you're kind of refreshing yourself as well. You could be kind of stuck in the tunnel vision,
Yeah.
working all the time. And, it's good for you just to come out that and get a break,
Oh,
because it
too
can
right.
definitely reset yourself.
You make better decisions, don't you? You're a nicer person to be around. I mean, we all know what it's like the endorphins are rushing around our body, but that good feeling, it kind of lasts, it goes throughout the day, I think. And yeah, that's the way I tend to look at it. Like I'm investing, if it's half an hour session, 40-minute session, whatever it may be, I'm investing this time in me now so I can be a better, more productive person throughout the day. And
Yeah.
then it's a people business. We're dealing with people, and I'm a better family man and better business partner, better for my customers, all the rest of it. It's making it, I think, part of your life. And you don't need to be obsessive and do 3-hour sessions every day. As long as, and you don't even need to do every day. It's just trying to do something just as much as you can.
I think if you don't do it, you think, oh, well, is it going to make a difference? But then once you do it, you're like,
Oh, I can
you
see
can
it.
actually
Yeah.
see it. You can,
Yeah,
so definitely makes you more productive, I think, and get better results.
absolutely. I'm on the same page with that.
There'll probably become a point when I'm looking for the next step after that, but definitely on the cards is doing, development from the ground up. Obviously, from a finance point of view, that would be a different ballpark.
We talk about the 100% finance products, and for contractor developers, which you fall into that category, you only have had to have done one ground up or a small conversion. I mean, this one we're looking at now might qualify, and then the lender that offers that 100% development finance will allow you to do a scheme that's sort of 5 to 10, typically 5 to 10 units. So it allows with no money in, which is fantastic, and it's like a JV arrangement with the developer. And I think that allows developers to really scale and take on that additional project that they didn't have the funds to do otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's a big benefit and key, because even before I was on property, you've always get that, scarcity mindset in a way that, oh, you need your own cash, and, how is this possible? But
Yeah,
once everything, the finance stuff is opened up, you're like, there's so many ways to, finance the deals.
Yeah, there's so many creative strategies. And it's like the more you get into it, more things open up. The more professional people don't use their own money, or they might use a small part of it, just to show a bit of willing in the deal. But no, you don't need to with all these other strategies. It's about education and leverage and understanding all these things, and then building your power team and all that we've talked about.
I was going to say as well, just the more you do as well, that's, you've got a good backing for projects in the future.
Yeah, building up your property CV is so important, isn't it? But whether it's for investors or whether it's for lenders themselves, just to show you've made good progressions throughout the years, it gives you self-confidence knowing that you can do it, you can step up to that next level. So all really important, really beneficial. Great stuff. Well, thanks for coming on, Jordan.
Thank you, Steve.
What a fantastic conversation that was with Jordan. If you're ready to take your property journey to the next level, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others. And remember, success in property is about education, teamwork, and staying motivated. So let's keep building. See you in the next episode of Lessons in Property.